Something you said, I think there in the press release, there you touched upon something you said in there that modern bands or music groups don't have a lot of attitude anymore. That they're pretty much bland. And then is this correct? Is this the?
I don't remember saying it, but it's the truth, man. I mean, like a lot of bands come out now and they're just writing songs to get on radio. You know, like whether or not you have the same, same like kind of thing in your lyrics, like, well, these people believe this, these people believe this. As long as it's honest and from the heart, man, then it's got something, like the thing with us is we write fun songs, Blame It on the Boom Boom, White Trash Man on the last record. Me and Mary Jane off this new album is a fun song.
Yeah.
There's a song called Magic Mountain that's a fun song. There's Fiesta del Fuego. All these songs are just fun songs. But then when you listen to the record as a whole, you see it's a whole lot deeper than that, you know. And I think the reason Me and Mary Jane was picked as the first single, just because it's got that catchy kind of sing-along kind of vibe, and it's something that a lot of people can relate to, But our records are always way deeper than, the first single tends to be 90% of the time. And it's just because it's like, the tried and true works. Songs about having a good time with girls and, and going out and partying and stuff. People want to hear that stuff, But, when you go back and look at the record, though, you got songs like Holding On to Letting Go, Runaway Sometimes, Remember Me, Never Surrender, that are all really serious songs, that touch on really serious issues. And I think that's part of the attitude, you know what I mean? Like, our thing is we're not cocky when it comes to, like, we're not rock stars, I guess is the word. But we're very confident in what we do and who we are, because that's why people like to see us live, man, is we go out there and we leave everything on the stage, we come back to the dressing room and it's just literally we sit down, because we're tired, man, we go out there every night and give it everything. And you got to have kind of that, go for broke mentality in this business of leaving it all on the table when you're done.
When you you mentioned having this deeper element to the album. After touring for the previous record, you came off tour around somewhere in 2012, end of 2012. Was there an idea in mind when you started working on the next record?
The only idea we had when we came off the road in 2012 was to come off the road.
Yeah.
We had toured basically non-stop since 2006, and I was going through some personal stuff, and I had a baby that was due in November, who actually decided that he had to be born in October.
Yeah.
So he was really early. And then, we started writing. I kind of got myself together, and we started writing in January, and had no idea what we were writing about. We just went down there and we started, for the first time in really probably 10 or so years, it was just like the four of us got completely away from the rest of the world and sat down and started writing songs again. And when you haven't done that in 10 years, it's kind of scary, because you're like, well, we don't have, another guy here to write with us and try to help stuff. But at the same time, you get a certain honesty that you cannot get when you've got somebody else there. I mean, there's certain things that you're not just going to say when there's a large group of people there. And the first song we had actually written for this record is the first song on the album, a song called Holding On and Letting Go. And we had written that music, within the first week of practicing. And I think once the riff stuck, it might have been the first day of rehearsals. I think it was. Yeah. The first day we started writing for the album, we wrote this music. And that music kind of sat around for a month or a little better. And we had written some more songs. And then we came down to the practice house one day, and I had found out about the death of a very dear friend of mine. And it really influenced that song, because some of the stuff that song touches on is a lot of the stuff that I had dealt with on my own, And I don't know, that song really means a lot to me personally, and I know it does the band as well. Us as a whole, it means a lot to us. But it's heavy, man. Lyrically, musically, emotionally, it's a very heavy song. But it's like the thing about us is like even if we write like a really dark song, there's always some kind of positive that comes out of it just because that's who we are. We try to find the smiles inside of tears.
Well, when you started working on, you mentioned that there's this darkness to some of the songs. How do you turn it into something positive then? Because to me it seems like quite a difficult thing to do sometimes.
The fact that I'm sitting here alive and talking is a positivity in it for me. I mean, literally, the dark spot I'm talking about was full of addiction and battles with self-worth and higher powers, and I left my house one day with a loaded gun and I was going to go kill myself. True story. I loaded my shotgun and I went to go get in my truck. About 2 steps from my truck, God talked to me, man. He just told me not to do it, and I just I didn't know what was happening at the time. I just stopped and started crying and went inside, and I went inside my house and set the gun down and just sat there for a long time. And about a month later, I sold the gun and I sold the truck, got rid of all that stuff out of my life. That was in 2011. And, man, I kept battling, the depression thing. And I went to see doctors and I got on all this medicine, and then the medicine turned from a medication to an addiction.
Right.
And so I started battling that stuff, and then all this stuff was still going on when we were writing the album. I'd gotten some better, but it was still there, like the struggles with the medication addiction and stuff like that. And then I think that's where a lot of these songs came from, man. I mean, like, but the cool thing about it is like, I was a firm believer that there was no God.
Right.
Like there was no higher power. And, then my son was born, and I was kind of like, maybe there's something going on, I don't know, because my wife had a huge complication throughout the whole pregnancy, especially toward the end, and it was a very, very serious situation the day my son was born. And, my wife was the same way. She was kind of like, we were both pretty much agnostic. There was no proof of a God, so we just didn't believe in it, And then we both kind of changed a little bit when our son was born, because we were like, there's got to be something going on for her and him to both basically walk away from him being born 8 weeks too early, totally fine. Yeah. Not a single problem with either one of them once he was born. And then last November, man, Ben sent out a text message and said, look, my birthday's coming up next week. There's nothing I want, there's nothing I need, but it'd be so awesome if you'd come to church with me. Okay. And I was like, you know what? I didn't even hesitate. I was like, yeah, dude, I'll be there. Mm-hmm. So I show up that Sunday, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go do Ben a favor, basically, and go to church. And when I get there, the pastor at the church is this guy who was probably the best rock and roll singer from back home, and could possibly be one of the best rock singers I've ever heard. I mean, literally, he's like up there on the Chris Cornell level. He's that good of a singer. And he had a lot of the same problems I had. And, basically had dedicated his life to Jesus and started to preach the gospel. So when I show up, man, like I go get in the pew, and I'm kind of just, just taking it all in. Like, the first thing that was different for me is, I mean, my arms look like a comic book. I have tattoos from, here to the ends of my fingers, and nobody looked at me funny. Some churches I've been to, they kind of give a weird look or whatever,
They cringe.
Yeah, they kind of cringe when they see somebody like me walk in, And nobody looked at me funny. People greeted me, said, hey, how are you? Glad to see you here. And then when the church started, it was like this full-blown rock and roll band are playing. The only difference is, like, they're singing about this Jesus guy. I'm like, this is pretty cool. I've never seen this. So, that whole Sunday, I'm like, I figured out really quick that I wasn't there for Ben. That I would, like, something had drawn me there other than just Ben, So the next Sunday rolls around, my wife had to work, Ben had to go on vacation with his girlfriend, and it was basically me and my little boy. And he's barely a year old at this point. And we overslept, And I wasn't going to go, and I just kept getting these feelings like I should go. So I called my sister-in-law, and I'm like, hey, would you mind to watch Declan for a little while so I can go to church? She said, yeah, no problem. Bring him over. I go to church, man, and all I can say is that Sunday my life changed forever. I mean, like, people can think I'm crazy, think I'm wrong, I don't care. You know, like, for me, I found what made my life complete. And for me, that was Jesus. Like, that's not for everybody. You know, like, I had a great talk with Head from Korn. And we were on a boat with him. And, you know, he's a lot in the same that I am. You know, he was on a much more successful level than I am.
Right.
You know, to where he had sold millions of albums and seen the world and done everything a musician could ever dream to do. But it was still the same for him. There was always something missing in his life, you know. And it's just so cool, man, to see other musicians in this business, on the rock and roll side of it, that are open about, you know, the fact that they believe in a God and they're proud of it, you know. But I mean, for me, like,
how did it affect the band? In a sense, because well, you were going through a lot of stuff in the years leading up to this. Were you, as a band, very aware of this?
Oh, they knew, man. It was to the point where, in December of 2012, the four of us got together and decided if we were going to be a band anymore or not.
Okay.
Because I was in such a bad place, man, that no matter what, I just couldn't get it together. And literally, since December 1st, 2013, the day that my life changed, I've been the happiest I've ever been in my life. I mean, like, I used to like cringe at the idea of having to be around people. You know, like, I just couldn't do it. I would have to take medicine to be around people. And now I look forward to it. You know, it's totally different. It's amazing, man. Like the way that me changing my life in the way that I have, the way it's affected the band is we're in the best place I've ever been in because I'm in the best place I've ever been in.
Right.
Yep.
And our brotherhood and our bond is tighter than it's ever been. You know, we still rock. I still say bad words on stage. We still have a good time. We still party. You know what I mean? Just like the only difference now is
The sense of
is my sense of the higher power and the fact that my belief in something, you know, keeps me motivated to do stuff every day. You know, like, I look forward to playing music now. I'd gotten to the point where I hated playing music. I hated being around people, which is the only two things I'm good at. You know, is like, dude, because like the biggest payoff for us, we don't make a lot of money. We don't live these lavish lives. We go home, we see our kids, we see our wives, and that's amazing. But like the biggest payoff for a band, especially Blackstone Cherry, is when we play these songs live, and it doesn't matter what country we're in, what the native language is, people sing those songs back and they smile while they're doing it.
final question, quickly, because I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
The album title is
Magic Mountain.
Yes. Is this a reference then to what you were talking about, or had it some
It's
sort
weird.
of significance in that way?
I've never thought of it that way, but I mean, it makes sense. But it wasn't thought of in that light.
Okay.
Like for us, Magic Mountain was like this super hippie, like trippy, psychedelic, you know, acid-induced mountain trip. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that. When we were thinking of it, we
Did
were
it
like,
actually happen, that trip?
No, I've never taken acid. I've never dropped acid, but like the thing.
It's a song on the record.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a title track.
It's a song on the record that you know talks about this magical place. It's kind of like Soul Creek. Like Soul Creek doesn't exist, but we wrote it about like the area we're from and this one place we all like to hang out. So, you know, it's the same kind of thing, but it's just like, you know, it's that feeling of, you know, something magical. You know, it's crazy that you bring that up because I'd never thought of it like that. But it goes to show, man, always there.
Okay. Well, I'm out of time, so thank you
man.
very much.
Thank you.